Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Code to Success, and we are in the Python Basics to Advanced series, and today's topic is Python variables, data types and operators. So let's talk about the first thing that we have in the list, that is a variable. So if we talk about variable, is nothing but a name memory location to store the data. But in Python there's a little bit of twist. In order to understand variables, we have to let's deep dive with example. So in Python, variables are not actually box holding the values, that is like C and Java. Rather it's a label or reference that points toward that particular object. So for example, if I want to define a variable in Python, I will be doing just like this. So here in this case, x is not a variable that actually holds the address of this particular value. Actually it acts as a reference that points toward this particular object. So in Python, this this particular thing is an object. This maybe looks something like this. This is an object of the type int. Here in this case we will learn each and everything about the types and each and everything, but just for as of now, just understand that whenever you declare a variable, this is how we declare a variable, and in this case x is nothing but x is just points toward that particular object. However, this is not happening in other programming languages. For example, if you want to declare a variable in a similar fashion in Java, in that particular case, x is actually holding this value, and x is actual the memory location, is the memory location. So if you just print that, you will get the memory location, but it is not the case in Python. So why I'm telling you this, because this is sometimes very important, because if you, let's say, if you define a variable with x equals to 10 and y equals to 10, so in this case x and y both are pointing towards the same object. So you can see this is an object 10, and x and y are pointing toward the same object in Python. So hence in this case x and y are same. However, if you do the same thing in other programming languages, like let's say Java, int y equals to 10, so in this case y x are not referencing to 10. Actually x is holding these variables value and have some address. So here in this case also, so x is not equals to y in other programming languages. So this is a difference how Python deals with the variables. So this is an important thing, and I little bit say that yeah, in most of the cases people doesn't know about this, and they think that the variables act the same as in Python as in the other programming languages, but it's not so. I'll just give you an example. Okay, so I guess we understood about this term about variables. So let's get into the second topic, and the second topic is mutables and immutables. So what are mutables? So in layman term, or in the very simple language, you just understand that whenever in terms of address, if you understand, so mutables are something that once you assign, it will have the same address. For example, if you have something, let's say, I know you not understand about list right now, but just for understanding mutables and immutables, just say that this is a list, this is how we define a list, and this basically lists are mutable. So as I said, that L will be just pointing towards to this list object. It's not like that L is storing some address, it is just pointing towards this particular object. So if you just print the address of L in this case, so it will be same as if we just change this or append this to some values. For example, let's say if I just append another value to this particular list, and if I just print the address before and print the address after some modification, you will see that the address of L will remain the same. So this is something on mutables. That doesn't, whenever you do some changes or apply some operations on that particular mutable things, they will remain or change things in places. It doesn't change the address locations. However, this is not the same in case of immutables. Whenever you perform any actions on the immutables, they changes, either they will give you an error, or maybe they always change their address, or you can say the Python creates a new variables for that. So let's understand these things with some example. Let's say I will also explain you a proof of this thing and the proof of mutable and immutable. So let's get into the code. So let me give you an example with x equals 10 and let's say y equals 10. So as I've told you that in this case in Python, you know that x and y are basically pointing towards the same object. So in this case they should be same. So if I just say print let's say f of f string, this is way to just print values of some variables. This is called string interpolation. We will get to know this, but as of now just see what I am doing. So and there's a function which is called id, which will give you basically the address of the variables. So let me show you. So okay, so what we are doing here is we have storing, we are in this case x is referencing to this object 10 and y is also. So in this case the address should be same. So let's see while running, and when we run you see that x and y is having the same address. Look at this. Why? Because as I've told you that in Python the variables are just referencing towards that particular object. So both, like in this case if you define x equals to 10, y equals to 10, both are referencing to the same object, so hence they are same. Also about immutables, if you talk about mutable, let's say first of all, so yeah, let's start some mutables. And if you say mutables, if I say address of this a, and after I append something and then I print the address of a, let's say I will just put after modification a value. So you will see that before the address of a will be the same as after the modification. So let's show you by running this program. So if you see, like before it was 992, the address is basically the same, and after modification the address same. This is called mutability, because this is list is mutable, so we can change values in place. And since we know that Python just references this particular object, so it will not change the address. However, if you talk about some immutables, so immutable, if you talk about int are immutables, sorry, let's say a variable with a, okay, so int are immutable. So if we just look at this example, what we have done here is we have let's say a int, put for your better understanding. Okay, so before int, since int are immutables, so if you define a particular variable with 10 and we just print the address of that, if we change that, so Python will create a new object. As I've said, that immutables either can't be altered if we give you error, either in other cases Python will gonna be modify that, but will create a new object for it. So in this case you will see that Python will create a new object for a. So if I just run this again, and you will see, okay, int before and int after, you can see. So here in this case you can see that the new address has been created because int are immutables in Python. So these are something about the immutables and mutables. So we will deep dive into these mutables in the upcoming lecture, but as of now you have understood that what mutables are, what immutables are. Then we have certain kind of data types in Python. So if we talk about, we have str, we have int, we have float, bool. So let's understand about each of these data types with some kind of examples in Python. So we have int, we have float, we have complex, which will not deal with right now. Tuples are there, sets are there, dictionary are there, booleans are there, and there's a special none type. So these are the types in Python, and if you want to get the type, that what the type of these particular variables are, you can easily do that with I would say print statement, which is here. So with the type function, you can get use of that and just put the variable into that. It will give you what the type of that particular variables are. For example, if I just run this program, so if you can see, I have not put a new line for each, but you can see that the first one is int, the second one is float, complex, string type, list, tuple. So this is how you can get the types in Python. So basically there are these number of the types that are available in the Python, like we have a string, int, float. So this is how you declare a variable and get the type of it. So if you talk about string types, they are something different. For example, if you want to iterate the string, so we have this operator. We will see this in upcoming lecture. For let's say a range, we can use and put the length of this d, because we have variable with okay. So if I just print this, however there's some kind of error, or maybe this isn't just this is just a warning. So you can see I have just printed each and every character by character. So this is how you can just create strings and other stuff. So we have talked about this data types. We have certain kind of operators in Python as well, like we have heard, which can be act between two variables, or maybe unit operators are also there. But for example, let's say if you want to add something, these are the arithmetic operators, and if you want to divide something, so there are two things. This is normal division, and this is a floor division. Floor division means without decimal. If you want something, you can use double slash. This is modulus, like for the remainder. Double star with the power if you want exponent for it. So these are the arithmetic operators. Now if you talk about logical operators are there, for example and, or, not. These are the logical operators. For example, if you store a variable true in A and B, if you put false, and if you do A and B, so it will give you maybe true, because if one of the values is true, it should be true. And then if you want A or B, so in this case is it true, or I think this is false. Let me just check this out, because I'm just not remembering right now that what's AND does or does, but I think AND is satisfies when both the conditions are true, so this should be false, and OR will satisfy if one of the conditions true. So since A is true, it should be true. So these are the logical operators we have. Then the most important one that we use regularly is the identity and the membership operators. So membership operators works in a sequences, like in and not in. So for example, in the list in the we have used this, for example, in the string, because this is a sequence, and if you want to get whether these values are exist in this particular sequence, we can use this basically membership operators. And if we talk about identity operators are basically used for to check that whether a particular memory location is been there or not. So we will check these in the when we understood about the class and other stuff, but very in a very fundamental way. I think we have covered all the basics of that, what variables are. I have told you about how the Python basically store these variables, and we have talked about mutables, we have talked about immutables, and then we have talked about data types as well. There are certain type of data types that we have, and there's one more thing that you should know, I guess, that each data type have some I would say associated memory with it. So for example, each data types takes some kind of memory. So let's say, yeah, this is the way we can get that. So if you want to know that if your particular variable is taking how much memory, you can just easily get that with the help of the get size of function. So for example, here we have this. So with this you can get the size of the memory that the particular variable is taking. So with this, I guess we have covered almost everything, and what else we will see in the next video. So for till that, just keep learning. I will providing the PDF of these in the description section, and the code of this, whatever I've done here, should be in the description section as well, with a link of the GitHub. So that's it for this video. Let's catch you in the next video. Thank you.